Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. Hey, listeners, I want to thank our sponsor, Bird Hunter Supply, your go-to for premium hunting gear at birdhuntersupply.com. This family-owned business, run by a husband and wife team from Idaho, is driven by their love for bird hunting, dog training, and the great outdoors. For them, hunting is a treasured family tradition. Think crisp mornings in the field and the thrill of the chase and those irreplaceable moments with dogs, family, and friends. They've built Bird Hunter Supply to share that passion, curating high-quality gear to help you create your own lasting hunting memories with your crew. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Bird Hunter Supply has you covered with top-notch equipment from dog training tools to hunting apparel, backed by exceptional customer service to make your experience unforgettable. Best of all, they're deeply committed to preserving the wild spaces we love. When you shop at birdhuntersupply.com, you can choose at checkout to direct a percentage of your order to conservation powerhouses like Pheasants Forever, Rough Grouse Society, or Delta Waterfowl. Your purchase helps these groups protect vital habitats and sustain the wildlife that makes our sport possible, ensuring hunting traditions thrive for generations. Visit birdhuntersupply.com today, explore the carefully selected gear, and support a family-run business dedicated to both hunters and the outdoors. That's birdhuntersupply.com. Gear up, hunt with purpose, and help preserve the wild. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast. Today's episode, I just want to do what we try to do every episode, and that's thank our supporters. Everyone on Patreon who signed up and subscribed. We really, really appreciate it. You're the reason that we're able to have a podcast. And I really want to call out our producers. So our producers, Paul Rady, Laramie Petticord Matthews, and Cord Campbell. Thanks for being producers of the show. We really appreciate it. If you are interested in becoming a producer or a Patreon supporter, the supporter level is $2 a month. Really simple, easy, and it pretty much just is saying, hey, thanks for the podcast. Here's a couple bucks. And it also does give you access on our Discord to our special channel just for Patreon members, guests, and hosts. So any of our Jared and I are in there, other Patreon members, and then some of our previous guests are also in that channel as well. Or if you're not on If you're not on Patreon, you can still join our Discord channel or Discord server. Link is in the podcast description, and you can still chat with folks in there too, just not in that special channel. For the producer level, if you want to become a producer of the show, it is $6 a month, also on Patreon. Just sign up on there. There is a link also in the podcast description, and that means you are actually a producer of the show. You are called out as such in the podcast description and called out often on our episodes as a thank you for helping produce our show. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the episode. I'm really excited about this one. Today's guest has built one of the most respected gun dog operations in the world. From a farm in the Scottish Highlands, his Mortar Gun Dogs has been breeding and training Labradors, Springers, and Cockers for over 2 decades. And his dogs have found their way into the hands of some of the most discerning sports people on the planet. As a bird hunter in the American West, I've got a lot of questions for a man who comes from a completely different shooting tradition. And I'm sure he's got a few things to teach us all. You may know him from his YouTube channel, Mordor Gun Dogs, or his podcast, The Dog Father. Charlie Thorburn, welcome to Go Flush Yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. What I get wrong in your intro? Anything? Did I?
Just saying that you guys could learn a lot from me. I am not sure about that, but I don't know. I'll see. I mean, I think everybody's still got a lot to learn. We're all still learning.
Sure.
Every dog teaches me something. Every dog and every person teaches me something new.
Once we stop learning, we start dying, right?
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So first question I have for you, really just bridge that gap between my part of the world and our traditions and yours. And I know you've traveled a lot, so you probably have a lot of other viewpoints you've seen, but UK shooting is largely like driven game, standing guns on pegs. And over here we're chasing pheasants and chuckers and public lands by ourselves, right? With a single dog or two, or maybe two hunters with a couple dogs. Um, how transferable is that transferable maybe isn't the right word, but if I took a dog from you that's beating and I drop it over here, how transferable are those skills? Will it just pick it up and go, or is it going to have a rough time? It's like what are we doing out here in these grasslands looking for a Hungarian partridge?
No, essentially, they're amazingly adaptable dogs. Whether you're taking them to a different part of the world to hunt different species, or you're speaking to them in a different language than they were trained in, they pick it up pretty quickly. Because
Yeah.
I always say to people, you don't train a gun dog to be a gun dog. You train them to listen to you.
Ah,
Like the
good.
flushing bit, the retrieving bit, and the doing their job bit. You don't train them. They do that on their own. You just train them to kind of have a bit of control, a bit of self
Right.
control, and a bit of control under you. So you're not like saying, "Oh, we're going to flush, partridges today and pheasants tomorrow and grouse next week." Like they don't care. It's all
Right.
got us. It's got the game hits their scent, their scent receptacles, and they the smell just hits it, and they're like, "This is doing it for me." And I've got dogs that have turned up on South Texas to shoot quail, and they just go out and pick up the first quail. They've never seen a quail in their life
Love
or
it.
anything like a quail. I mean, a quail,
Yeah.
you know, is is like a little songbird for us.
Right.
It's a tiny little thing. And I mean, our pheasants are like 8 times the size, and they're trained on, yeah, they pick up some partridges as well, but they just pick up whatever. And like the same thing as when you take a young dog that's, out to shoot a goose or a hare or anything else, they kind of go, well, I kind of know I'm going to get this. They occasionally, you need a bit of like, go on, yeah, that's what I want. When they look at you a bit
Right.
like, what the hell's this? What the heck's this? But generally, no, that instinct is to flush it or to fetch it is there.
Right. Okay.
And so
That makes
that's not excuse me, that's not the that's not going to be an issue for them. And
cool.
I know that we've got, like, in the UK, I know there is a reputation that a lot of all the shooting we do is driven shooting, but you know, obviously the guys flushing the birds for driven shooting with their spaniels are essentially just doing what you do, but there's just a line of them, and there's probably
Sure.
more birds. But they're still
Yeah.
the dogs are still working away, flushing birds, staying within a range of the handler, because they can't have them 150 yards away from the handler because they'll
Right.
be in them to arrive. So they're staying the right sort of distance that you would probably want for a flushing dog. And then we love, like, my favorite shooting, I think, probably is what we call rough shooting. So the same as what
Yeah.
you're doing, going out
Right.
with me and a couple of people. And I normally have like 6 or 7 dogs. Some of them are spaniels, some of them are Labradors, and they're all in at heel. And we'll hunt one or two of them at the same time. Hunt a couple of the spaniels at the same time, and then when they get a bit tired, we'll switch them out for a couple more. And the Labradors at heel, waiting for the longer retrieves and the more complicated, like the water retrieves and that kind of thing.
Got
So
it.
we do a reasonable amount of rough shooting, and we're hoping to do a lot more. We're just in the process of um, getting a bit of land, a big
Yeah.
bit of land. So we're buying a bit of land for our new site for our kennels, and about 30 minutes away, another bit, which is it's about 5,500 acres. And so
Wow.
that's all just for us walking up a combination of grouse, woodcock, snipe, hares, mountain hares, pheasants and partridges, and maybe some rabbits, and maybe some other things that kind of, maybe some ducks and things as well that kind of come our way. So that'll be, when we have that up and running, that'll be very similar in a way to what you guys are doing. It's
Yeah.
it's
Very much.
white grass, it's rashes, which is kind of, what you get in wetlands and stuff, and then it's heather.
Sweet.
So it's all kind of knee height kind of cover.
Got it. Got it. So I'm pretty involved in my chapter of Pheasants Forever over here. So my brain, when you said that, went to habitat. So when you buy that land, is it fairly turnkey when it comes to habitat, what you want, or are you gonna have to do some work on that land to get it to where you
We
want it? Or how much managing goes into that, I guess?
so the we won't be putting down any new habitat. We'll just be managing what's there, and
Okay.
that might mean like flail mowing some of the longer stuff, just to kind of, that's older and rougher and just a bit too thick
Right.
to get new stuff to grow through. And it also We've just finished, but they've just finished up there. But we had some guys doing some control burning.
Nice.
So we burn the heather and some of the white grass because it really regenerates it better than just cutting it with the flail mower. But obviously, it's more effort in terms of you've got to have a few people, you've got to know what you're doing, you've got to get the wind right, you've got to get the weather right.
Yep.
Whereas to go over it with a flail mower is just a guy on an ATV. Right. But some of the ground's too steep, really, and too difficult to get to for an ATV. So there's sort of you can only do some of it with that. So so we do. Yeah, we will do. We'll continue to do that. We'll probably do more than has been done on it for a while. It's been kind of slightly left. And we'll do a lot of predator control.
Right. So, what kind of predators are you looking at there?
Foxes.
Yeah. So
foxes mainly done with a rifle and and either a lamp or night vision.
Yep.
Night vision scope. And then anything else that we think we can manage in terms of stoats and weasels and anything like that we think, and crows, if we can control some of the crows and the kind of winged vermin that we're allowed to control. There's obviously the ones we're not allowed to control, same as you guys.
Sure.
You end up in federal jail.
Yep.
Or under His Majesty's lock and key in this country.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and my grandpa, we would be out hunting, and he'd point out birds and be like, "Don't shoot that." But the first time he brought that up to me, he made it like a joke, like there was an eagle flying over, and he's like, "Oh, there's one," and I kind of was like, "Oh, what do we?" He's like, "No," and then he realized you can't joke with a kid who doesn't know anything yet.
No.
There's a debate.
Unless you're using a 410, and then you're probably safe to make a joke out of it.
No, I had a 20 gauge. Yep, that would have taken care of it.
Yeah.
So thankfully he stopped me. So over here, there's speaking of foxes and predators, over here in the West, we have kind of a debate going on, and I'm sure it's a debate amongst people who really don't know what we're talking about. We should leave it to the biologists, and I'm sure they're working on it as well. But with our coyotes, which probably presents a similar problem to your fox, and maybe it's not, maybe it's yeah, it might be. But the debate is, yes, coyotes take out ground nesting birds, but they also take out the animals that take out the eggs of ground nesting birds, the skunks, the whatever is out there. Like you said, weasels. I don't know how many weasels we have, but those little varmints that go out and actually take the eggs. And so the thought was starting to become, well, should we leave the coyotes alone to take care of those varmints and focus more on habitat and the skunks and the porcupines and all those kinds of things? I'm not sure if you've addressed that over there, thought about that, or if that's a debate, or maybe fox is different. They're like the foxes are going after the eggs.
It is. Now, in my mind, it's a pretty simple concept. And my mind comes from a sort of practical living and breathing it. And that is that, and I'm not sort of, I'm a dog trainer. I'm not an expert kind of in wildlife management.
Well, I'm neither of those, so.
But foxes and coyotes are lazy. They'll go for whatever's easiest to get.
True.
And if they're hungry, they will mess around trying to get a little stoat or a weasel that hasn't got much meat on it. It's a bit of a hassle. But if there's lots of other things that are easier to come by, they'll go for them instead. So it's a kind of a cycle. So it's a cycle. And the more you're doing to kind of have young chicks and birds and eggs, the more they're going to take them, and the less they're going to take the other things, because they're more of a hassle to get. And then what they do is, if you don't do any management to kind of produce more chicks and eggs and things, then actually the numbers of the foxes and everything reduce because there isn't so much food. So this is the big kind of the big irony in this country is people who are anti kind of field sports. If they go to a really well managed kind of wild shoot, like a really well managed grouse moor, there are more of all the birds that people never see. Right. The kind of non-game species, we have oyster catchers and lapwings and curlews and things. The more of them, there are way, way, way more of them on managed land because the managers are controlling the vermin. So then you take the land that isn't managed and all you see is foxes and crows. And you're kind of like,
Yeah.
well, how is that even a debate? It's so simple. It's like you drive to some of these well-managed moors, you see all these different birds everywhere, and you drive to an unmanaged moor, and there's a couple of foxes and half a dozen crows, and everything else is dead
Right.
because they eat everything, they kill everything, and then they either die off or they move on because there's nothing left there.
Yeah, it feels like common sense to folks like you and me who are in that world and think about that stuff. But in my experience over here, the people that aren't, they're like, well, why doesn't nature just let nature balance it? It's been doing that
But
for a millennia. It's
we've
like it
spent
won't.
no, and we've spent too long messing up nature, especially in the
Exactly.
UK, because we got
Exactly.
rid of some of the bigger predators. We got rid
Yep.
of wolves and things, and
Right.
further long ago, there probably was other bigger things again. We got rid of them because they were causing hassle to our way of life, whether it was our lives or our livelihood in terms of sheep
Yep.
and rearing animals. So we got rid of
Right.
them. So
Yeah.
we became that alpha predator, so we'd have to keep being that alpha predator.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly.
it's not, but it's all the people who come up with without getting too political, which we already have. We haven't even spoken
We're
about
going
dogs.
down the road I didn't expect us to go down, but that's okay.
I know, but all these people, it's a bit like all these people, the sort of the whole like the cowspiracy, like how cows are causing global warming. And it's like it couldn't possibly be all the aeroplanes flying around, could it? It's got to be
Right.
the cows.
Yeah.
Definitely the cows. Let's eat plants and the world will be fine. We can carry on airplanes. It's just like, really? Come on,
Yeah.
get a grip.
Yeah. It's the
You
thing
know,
I don't like. It's not the thing I like. Yeah.
yeah.
That's how humans
It's
approach
you
things,
look at, and
though.
all you have to do is look at that flight radar app that shows you where all the planes are in the world, and you're like, holy blooming moly, you know.
Yeah.
That app is busier than any app you could get, which has got kill the cows in the world in it.
Well, okay. I'm not gonna go down the path. There's a okay, I'll say it. I'll say one last thing, then we'll get back to dogs. But there's a study a while ago, or someone worked out the numbers that if someone was in Boston, Massachusetts, and was going to go all the way across the U.S. to L.A., and it was a Boeing 737 full of people, if all of those people deboarded the airplane, each got into a Toyota Camry and drove cross country, the emissions would be less than that one airplane ride for all of those
Oh my,
people in their individual average sedan. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, but
you
not they're
gotta think
not.
about
Yeah, yeah,
this.
but to really wind up some of the sort of the hunting crew in the
Yeah.
states, they're not they're not saying get into an F-150 though, are they?
No, no, they're saying a Camry. Yeah, they're being
15
reasonable.
miles to the gallon, a good run kind of thing. They're
As I
getting in a
look out my
Toyota
window
Camry.
at my F-150.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they're great. I love them, but yeah, it's funny.
No, exactly. You're 100% right. Okay, back to that was good though. Um, it seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but watching your videos, and as someone who's not a great dog trainer with my two springers, I watch your videos a lot for advice. But it seems like your breeding philosophy and kind of the way you look at dogs is you want temperaments and good looks with ability. And I notice a lot of breeders, and if I'm wrong, tell me, but a lot of breeders in the US are just like ability. And and I see a lot of that, and not all of them, obviously. We're not painting broad brush. We are painting a broad brush here. But um, do you, first off, if I'm wrong, let me know. If not, what do you think about that approach in the US versus yours or others maybe like yours?
I think there's a lot of that in the UK as well.
Sure, I believe it.
Yeah, it's just like I just want it to win. It doesn't matter
Right.
what it looks like, or I just want it to win. But I mean, I don't go into going back to cars. I don't go into I personally don't go to a used car dealer with a whole array of cars and go, what's the best deal you've got? And the guy points out a really ugly car and goes, that one gets 65 miles to the gallon.
Right.
It's done 30,000 miles. It's cheap as chips, and it's going to last you for 10 years. And I'm just looking at it going, it's uncomfortable, it's ugly, and it smells because the guy who owned it had smoked cigarettes in it.
Right.
I'm not going to go, oh, well, I'm going to buy that anyway. I'm going to go, no, I want the pretty car over there because
Yep.
it might not be as reliable. It might cost me a bit more, but I'm going to get so much more satisfaction in owning it.
Yeah.
So you just looked out your window at your F-150 with a little bit of I love my truck.
I do.
Okay,
Right.
now I'm not saying everyone needs to go and buy a 80 grand truck or whatever, but that's just my view. So
Yeah.
I have I have a pretty house. Some people just buy a house because it's convenient. It's in the right place, and you're like, oh my god, it's got no character. It's ugly, whatever. I have a pretty house in a nice spot with a pond and a load of
Right.
trees. It looks nice around here. I would turn the camera around, but I know I'll cause a load of trouble with the recording. But I can see 100 miles out of my house. That's
Love it.
high priority to me.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty wife because it's high priority to me. You know, it's it's um it's all just a balance, isn't it?
No, it really is. And I have a friend who's really into guitars. It's his world. And during COVID, I was like, I want to learn guitar, nothing else going on. And so I was asking like what should I order, this kind of stuff. And one color was a little more money and not available. It was gonna take longer. And I'm like, is it stupid that I just want to wait for that color I really like? And he's like, no, you should look at your guitar and smile and love the color, love how it looks. It's not just about what it does. And I immediately started thinking about shotguns, and I'm like, yeah, I want to look down and love the way my shotgun looks, especially if I didn't get any birds that day. I want to be able to at least
Yeah.
enjoy what my shotgun looks like, my dog looks like, all those things, right?
And it's
So
it's all a, it's also all beauty's all in the eye of the beholder. So
yes,
so what I think's a pretty looking dog, the next guy might go, yeah, I don't like it, but that's fine.
yeah,
But yeah,
sure,
I'm
sure,
very much looking at like what I like and what I'm going to enjoy being out with, and I would sacrifice a little bit of something from over here to gain a little bit of something over here. So I've got a nice balanced dog. Whereas I know people who are like this dog, the hunting and the drive is just so exciting for me, and things over here will give because ideally, yeah, sure, if we can have everything, but that's not
sure,
that's not
yeah,
that's not reality.
no, it's not, it's not,
And I mean,
and for
whatever stage you're at in life, whatever place you're at in life, there's always something a little bit. The grass is always a bit greener.
yeah,
For a few of my customers, you park your jet on the runway, and some guy comes in and parks a bigger jet, which is newer and shinier and better, and you're like, and then you and me are sitting here going, we would just take any of them,
yeah, right,
especially if we
yeah,
didn't have, especially if we didn't have to pay for them, kind of thing.
yeah.
So
I take a free
it's
plane
it's
ticket.
the same with anything with artwork, with
Yeah,
guns being a form of artwork. It's any of these things. It just depends on what you specifically like. And I think probably what I've noticed about me, whether it's right or wrong, isn't really relevant, but I really know what I like. And I
right,
think a lot of people don't. And they will go with a
yes,
fad, and they'll be like, oh, I'm going over here. I'm using this dog. I'm going up there. I'm aiming for this. I'm doing that. Whereas I'm just like, this is what I want. And interestingly enough, a guy just started working for me last week. And he worked for me from 2006 to 2013, I think,
hmm,
something like that. So he worked for me for a period of time with the dogs. He then went off and did some other things, and he just came back to me and started working for me again, which is nice because it's nice that someone wants to come back. Like they've done some other things, they want to come back. But besides that, he walked into the kennels and he's like, these dogs just kind of like look like they were 12, 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
yeah,
They're the same because
yeah.
in my mind, I know what I'm trying to
You're
produce.
going
And
through
he's
that
like,
same.
they're still the same. He looked at a dog and he's like, oh, that looks just like Zeus. It was an old black Labrador I had. And I said, yeah, he does. I've called him Goose because he looked so similar. I was like, let's do a similar name.
Keep going, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess I've always known for a long time. I've really just known what I like, and I just keep going for that. Um, and that's where I think that's probably just that's what's important to me.
Yeah, and you brought up fads, and there's always that in everything, but it's there in gun dogs as well. And I think worse than that, there's some folks who fall into the trap of uh, they're trying to get something they think that they should like. Like I should be into this because everyone else or their algorithms pointed them to that, right? I was just telling my wife the other day we were by a golf course. I shouldn't say this. We're in Scotland and bringing up golf, but um, I was driving by the golf course. I'm like, I wonder how many people are out there playing golf on the weekend because they think that's what they're supposed to be doing on the weekend. Like, how many of them actually like? Some people love it, and some people are
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, that's the hobby that people in their 40s do.
Yeah, I want to be like a sort of successful middle class kind of guy
Right.
going places, and all the guys I know who are in that position play golf. I'd rather stick pins in my eyes than go and play golf.
Same. Um,
But I've got lots of friends who love golf. I'm like, that's
sure.
great. Just
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
don't ask me to come. Don't ask me to come with you because I'm busy doing my thing, and that's fine. We all need to be different. But you're right. I think people who they get it and they're like, oh, I want to. I don't want to. Funny enough, I can see now I've got a bigger presence on the internet, and I can see people coming to me because I want one of his dogs.
Right.
So it works for my business because I've become one of those
Yeah.
like
Right.
influential people, and I guess the important thing to me is I'm still true to what I do. So
Right.
I'm quite happy to kind of stand by that and go, yeah, you should get one of my dogs because they're bloody good dogs. And I've been working at it for 25 years, and you can get a cheaper one, but you haven't got the backup of what we offer, and so yeah. But whether I was as an amateur golfer, whether I would be the person to go and buy the top of the range, most expensive clubs, because that's going to make me a better golfer. I don't think the two things are quite kind of quite parallel. Like a
Sure.
dog
Sure.
is different, and
Yeah.
they're coming to me because they know they're going to get a great temperament of dog who's also capable of being a gun dog and capable of being trained, versus I'm going to buy those golf clubs because it might make me a better player.
Right. Yeah. Golf clubs are more akin to a shotgun in our world than a
Yeah,
dog. Dogs have so many variables and they're a living thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus what a guy collected a dog from me, two dogs from me today, and he is one of the like the top, I don't know, 100 and 250, 200 golfers in the world. I don't know enough about golf, but he's
Sure.
right up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that if I gave him my son's golf clubs and said, "Can you tee a golf ball off the lawn and fire it into the field?" he'd hit it way better than me or my son. And they're
Right.
not his. They don't fit him. They're a crap pair of, a crap set of golf clubs. Vice versa, he hands me his golf clubs that he probably gets given, 10 a, 10 a,
Right.
10 a, 10 a penny. And I wouldn't be able to hit it any further than I can with the set of golf clubs my son's got upstairs.
And that's true of
Um,
shotguns, but probably maybe
yeah,
not dogs, right? If you give me one of your
not
best
dogs. No,
dogs and I give you a
exactly.
mutt from the pound, I might be able to beat you because the dog's, it's got its own DNA
Exactly.
and its own
No,
thing. So,
and you've absolutely hit
right.
the nail on the head. That is the difference. This dog, this cheap shotgun, if you point it in the right direction, is going to work as well as this handmade London Old English like London gun, which
Right.
costs you 100 grand or whatever. It's still going to kill the bird, or it's not going to kill the bird, depending on whether you can aim or not.
Right.
Whereas you take a good dog who's trained and doing a good job, and it will find the birds, and it will fetch them, and it will flush them, and it will do a better job than, as you say, a less trained, less well-bred alternative.
Yes. Well, I think the other side of the coin we haven't talked about yet is temperament in dogs. Um, how you can answer some way you want, but how much of that is DNA versus upbringing? I'm sure it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But what are you looking for in temperament? And then is there something that your clients with their puppies should be doing or shouldn't be doing to help bring that temperament out at home so they don't have a bouncy ball just flying around their house like gun dogs want to do in the field, you know?
I think the most important thing to teach, especially spaniels, flushing dogs, springers or cockers, the most important thing to teach them quite early on is to do nothing.
Right.
It's too easy to get them out and wind them up, throw a ball, and you need to
Yes.
do that, but you
Yeah.
also need to teach them to do nothing. So giving them downtime, making them, putting them in a crate or whatever, so
Yep.
they're lying quietly is really important. From very early on, getting them to follow you around. So it's all about you
Yep.
and eye contact.
Okay.
So we've got four springers because the weather's so nice here at the moment. We've got four springers out in one of we call our pup pens. So they're maybe like a grass area, half the size of a tennis court. And they just live out there during the day. They have a nice time, and they've got a little sleeping bed. They get fed out there. And every time we go out there, they run to the front and they sit there and they look at you. And they look at you whether you're giving them food or whether you're just there to speak to them, but they're looking you in the eye. And they're doing that from very early on. And then these guys are now 15 weeks old. And as soon as you walk over there, they're there, just eye contact, looking at you. You
Got
go
it.
out with the food tray and the food bowls, and they all sit down and they look at you in the eye.
Yeah.
And that's really important to encourage that from the beginning, because most spaniels naturally want to have their nose on the ground, which is
Hmm.
which is great. I want
Yeah.
them to have their nose on the ground. And realistically, if I look out the window now, if they're out running around, they're going to have their nose on the ground. But therefore, I need to encourage them to be looking at me whenever I'm engaging with them. And I see so many people. I had a guy here for the weekend, training with his dog, staying in our cabin, and one of the biggest things we were doing was eye contact.
Wow.
So
Wow.
just getting the dog. We walk out the door, it looks at you first. We take the lead off. We take the lead off, and we get the dog to look at us before we let it go. We throw the retrieve, and the dog looks at the retrieve and then looks back to ask permission to go. And it's just that constant kind of encouraging the dog to look at the owner, so that they've got a real connection with the dog. And whenever the dog's running around, if it in early stages of its training, further down the line, I don't want them to do this, but in early stages of the training, every time they look at you, just to check on you, I just give them a little word of kind of just to connect with them. Good dog, just
Right.
anything, just good boy, anything, just
Right.
to kind of, because he's looked at you, he's checking in on you, and I want to encourage that. Now, as the dog gets more advanced in its training, I don't really want that happening anymore.
Sure.
And what I find is they look at you just at the peripheral vision, so they know where you are, and they'll keep their nose on the ground, and that's kind of the sort of the perfect balance. But as a young dog, and when I say young, up to the point that I really feel like I've got them hunting nicely, stopping on a whistle, turning on a whistle, really like doing the job, I want them to check in with me regularly.
Got it. Makes a lot
And
of
then
sense.
I start to ease off on that. So then I start to not ignore. I've got the rapport with them. I've got the bond with them. So I start to ease
Hmm.
off on the kind of the connection. So when they look at me, I actually start to make a point of looking away. So then
Hmm.
they put their head back down and they start working, because
They're
I've got
like,
them to a point where they're good enough, and I don't want them checking. And
right.
it's people doing a job for you, coming around and is this okay? Is this how you want it done? It's fine at the beginning,
Yeah.
but then you're kind of like, just get on with it. You should be good enough now that you should be able to get on with this job.
Right. That's a great
So
analogy.
I've got a guy who works for me because we do a lot of construction stuff, and we've got a 23-ton digger, Komatsu digger, and he's the digger driver. And this guy's
Right.
amazing at handling an excavator. Like, the bucket that'll pick up a small car, and he can tap you on the shoulder to get your attention if you're on your phone. Kind of, he's like a
Yeah.
wizard with his little joysticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I want to say to him is, I want to build a pond here, and I want an entrance route for the dogs. So I want a shallow entrance route here, and then I want steeper ones over here for the dogs jumping, and I want to put a pontoon over there, and I want it to go kind of around there and just roughly fill that kind of area. That's my brief.
Right.
I come back a week later, and it's better than I hoped for.
Right.
Whereas if he's coming to me every day, all the time, it's like, oh my God, I may as well do it myself. Do
You hired
you
the
see
wrong
what I mean?
person. Right. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
But when someone starts a job as an excavator driver, I do want them checking in, because I don't want them digging upon the wrong county. Oh, did you not mean over there? Oh shit, we've just moved 2 million tons of soil, and it's in the wrong bloody place.
Right.
So
Right.
I'd rather they checked on me, and it's the same thing with the dog.
Yeah.
They're checking in on me until they become competent enough, and then it's kind of like I leave them alone, and I'm like, and I try to keep out of their way, to a degree.
So that's something I haven't actively thought about when it comes to my dogs, but I wonder if that's not, I wonder, I'm pretty sure that's something that also kind of naturally happens and then as an undertone, because when they're puppies, like I don't trust you yet. Like I don't, you, but, and they might not trust, maybe they do, but they don't maybe trust me or know me well enough yet. But enough times in the field, it she she feels like an extension of myself when we're out there. Like she kind of knows where I'm at. She knows where I'm gonna go. She's just learned it through trial and error, it feels like, and she checks in less. And like I remember the first time I took out my younger one, my brother was there with his labs who were older and more experienced, and we're out trying to flush pheasants. And 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 I keeping a close eye on her, right? Keeping her close where I could see her because I one of the first times I took her out, and my brother's on the other side of this big clump of trees, and he's like, "Hey, your Springer's freaking out. Like she can't see you. She's jumping and looking for you. She looks panicky." So I got around and called her, and she came to me. But that would never happen now. She just would come around and find me, and we keep weaving and hunting. So that's a really good point, and it's something now it's in my head. I'm going to think about this much more actively now. That's such a good point.
So another way I look at when I know that they're really engaged with me and what I'm doing is when you're walking in one direction and they're hunting in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you turn direction like quite dramatically.
Yep.
Not necessarily out hunting, just training.
Yep.
You turn direction quite dramatically is how long it takes that dog who's out there hunting over that way,
Yes.
thinking they're going north or whatever, to suddenly them going southwest.
Yep.
And they're now a really young, inexperienced dog who keeps looking at you is obviously going to see that quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And a dog who's completely independent hunting is not going to notice, and they're going to be off and you've lost them or not lost them, but they're off into the distance. But a dog who's not looking at you, but is very much keeping checks on you, even though you don't notice them doing it, the moment you turn, they'll be right round and they'll be hunting in front of you as you're heading southwest without any whistles or any commands.
So I take my dogs on a walk down we have an irrigation canal behind us, and I walk down this canal. There's ducks and stuff. They have a good time. And what I should do, you're saying, is instead of walking that same route every day, which is roughly the same route every day, every once in a while just whoop, go the other way and see what they do. That's great. I love that.
We do it with we if you can in the UK we do it with going back to the beginning of our conversation about driven shooting.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do it with driven shooting. So there's clearly there's a wood and there's a bit of ground, and you drive the birds this way because the terrain sits nicely for it, and that drive works. Sure. There's a lot of guys who come to late December and they'll just push the wood completely the opposite direction because the pheasants get wise. Sure. And the old pheasants kind of go, oh, we're driving it that way, we'll go out the side or we'll go back. You turn around, you drive it the wrong way, and suddenly it's like, whoa, what's going on? And it's just keeping them on their toes. It's keeping them guessing.
Yep.
So yeah, you should definitely go halfway down the irrigation road and just turn around and don't say anything. Just turn around and head back. And it's what I call when we have someone here for a lesson, it's what I call the give a shit test. Okay, so we go out into the field and the dog's hunting away ahead of them. And I say, just turn around, don't say anything. We'll just turn around and walk back the other way. How far can we get before your dog notices? How much does your dog care about you? And I show them, and they do it. And some dogs turn instantly, and some dogs are 200 yards away before they notice. And then they're like, oh, what happened? Now, that dog that turns around and comes back, it does give a shit. It's just never been conditioned properly to pay that much attention. Whereas my dogs, it's three paces and they're back round.
Yeah, I got one.
Because they're conditioned to it.
Yeah, I have one I know would just turn around and come with me because she's like my little shadow. And the other one I might have to go get. Because she's just got her head in the ground.
And it's not always a sign of the better dog, because sometimes the better dog is the one that's got its head in the ground and it's hunting harder.
Yes.
It's more a sign of it's more from our point of view, it's more a sign of how much work the owner's got to do to kind of get the dog a little bit more working for them rather than working for themselves.
100%. And you have to know your dog, right? You have to one I know I have to push out more, and one I have to pull in more. And I have to, the more you know that about your dogs, the more successful I imagine you can be.
Yeah. And if you take a softer kind of dog who's paying more attention, so you're one that would turn around instantly. If you do that too often, if you do this change in direction and trying to confuse them too often, they end up standing 5 feet in front of you, looking at you, going, "What are you doing?" Okay, so you can make a mess of that dog by doing the training that actually you need to do for the other dog. And that's where we've always had this kind of issue where it's difficult to sort of say, here's a set of rules. This is how you train a dog, because it is until, this happens and this happens and then that happens and they have to do this. And, if the dog's doing that, you have to do this, this, and this. And you're like, you start trying to write that down. You're about 1 million words in.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez.
And no one's going to read that.
Good stuff.
A gentleman's just been ghostwriting a book for me.
Uh-huh.
recently, and it's 110,000 words, and I'm like, oh my god, that's mad. So we're gonna break it down into, and it's good. He's done a great job. He very kindly turned it into audio because I'm not very good at sitting down and reading a long book, but I've been listening to it in the car and things, and he's done a great job. But I'm like, this is 3 books.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to
because
that
there's
then.
so much there. And to be honest, I could write another. There's another 3 in there without even thinking about it. There's so much.
Oh yeah.
There's so much information and differentials. Whether that's because we've talked about, we should do a book on breeding.
Yeah.
On like the ins and outs of breeding your dog, and whether it's we just mated a little cocker spaniel and a Labrador this afternoon. Not as in not together.
Okay. I was like, what are you making?
Pair of Labradors. Yeah, we don't do that. I'm a pedigree snob. But from the ins and outs of, people are like, oh, do you not just put them together and it works? Not always.
No.
No,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't always work. And I get friends like, oh, I'm with my dog. And they're like 500 miles away from me. I'm out with my dog and I'm trying to get it to breed with this other dog, and they're not doing it. What should I do? And I'm like, I don't know. Turn on a doggy porn film. I don't know, but it's just not. People just think it's going to work, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of the timing of the watching the female and the timing of it all. And yes, you can do blood tests, but ultimately, I think nature still knows better than the blood tests. And then there's like, what do you do? How do you look after a female when she's pregnant? When the first bit of how much you feed them, how much. I mean, I know what I do, but whether that's what other people do, but there's a whole like array of information which I've never really thought about that just isn't there for people who have never done it. And they're like, where do I get all this information from? Unless they happen to know somebody like me who's been doing it for 25, 30 years.
Yeah, I've never thought about doing that, and I wouldn't even know where to start. That's a very good point. Yeah, like there's so much to consider for that, from before the beginning to after the end.
Yeah.
Speaking of after the end, you sell dogs around the world, right? And
37 countries so
Jesus,
far.
37 countries.
37 countries and 36 US states.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we're either about to make it 37 countries or we're about to make it 38 because we've got one going to Iceland.
Iceland. Wow. 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 So you have clients all over, and as a breeder and trainer, I imagine, not imagine, like you're selling trust also. Um, when I'm looking for a breeder, and I try to stay somewhat near me within a day's drive, um, it's like, oh, your dog's great, but I need to know the breeder. Like, are we going to be able to get along? Or are you going to be there after the sale and answer my questions?
Sadly, I don't know. I imagine it's the same, but in the UK, most of them aren't.
Yeah. So how
once
do
you've got your puppy and you've got a problem with it, they're like, not my problem.
Oh, you bought it.
You bought it, not my problem. And that's what I guess that's a big upsell of someone like me.
Yeah.
Is that, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to continue to do it for a long time. And you know where to find me.
Right.
I haven't met you in the Walmart car park and handed over a puppy from the back of a van and taken your cash and headed off. And then you're like, this isn't, you're 10 minutes down the road and you're like, this isn't what I bought. This isn't what I ordered. That's not what I saw in the picture.
Yeah. So how do you maintain that over all the miles and around the world? How do you maintain those relationships? Is it easier just with internet and smartphones now, or is it challenging still?
Yeah, it is much easier, but there's nothing like knowing people one to one.
Sure.
And I think that's how we've really differentiated ourselves from, I would say everybody else. Maybe that's a strong comment, but to a lot of other people is that we have, like, we're there. It's not just, I got this dog from this guy in the UK somewhere. It's this is the guy I get my dogs from. He's coming over again with other dogs, and he's come to see me and how my dogs are doing. Now I can't do that with every dog I sell because,
sure,
I'm not in New Zealand on a regular basis, kind of thing.
Right.
But a guy from New Zealand messaged me just a few days ago. He got 2 fully trained dogs from us. He messaged me, I've got a couple of questions. So I was like, send me some videos and I'll and I know those dogs inside out, so send me some videos of the dogs and I'll tell you what's going wrong.
Love it. Yeah, isn't that good? I did that with my breeder. He's down in Utah, so he's like 8 hour drive away from me, and I'll send him videos, me like, what? Like when she was a puppy, like what am I doing wrong here? Like, that kind of thing. And he's able to get back in the phone, call me or whatever. And we talked through it, and it was great. So yeah, I guess that it definitely can work at a distance.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you'll sometimes get more help from someone who's 8 9 hours away, whether that's by car or in an aeroplane, than
Yeah,
someone who's 30 minutes down the road who's just like, oh yeah, I moved and I actually don't have dogs anymore.
right. Yeah,
And then you're
for
kind of
sure.
like, oh, so you weren't really. So it's hard. I really feel sorry for people who are trying to do the right thing and get the right dog, and
Yeah.
it must be a minefield. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
must be a minefield. Like, where do you find these people? Because
yeah,
we don't. I guess YouTube and podcast is advertising of a fashion, but essentially, it's more showing what we do, and it generates business. But it's that wasn't the purpose of it. We've been pretty busy for 20 years before we started doing a YouTube channel a few years ago. But
sure.
looking at adverts, people say, oh, where would you? I just get random people going, oh, I've got some puppies, I'm trying to sell them. Where would you advertise them? I'm like, I don't know. I've never advertised a puppy in my life. People just come to
Yeah,
me. And all the people I know who are good at this never advertise their puppies because
right.
they don't need to. And so you're instantly, as soon as it's an advert, you're instantly going from that a level down immediately, or two or three or four. That doesn't mean the quality of the dogs has gone down. That just means the person is not a known quantity. So you
Right.
could still get an awesome dog from an advert like on a website or something, and
Yep.
the person could be the most amazing breeder and really care about their dogs. But it's harder to tell.
Yeah, it is I just my experience with the breeder I went to. I didn't know anything about the spaniel world in the US. I always had labs, and I didn't buy super expensive ones. I couldn't afford it, and it made it work. But um I was looking for a cocker at the time, and my I was like, I don't know, I don't even know where to. Like, I'm seeing all these different breeders and websites and Facebook pages, and I don't know where to go. And my wife's like, I talked to this guy. He seems good, and she doesn't know anything about hunting world or anything. She loves dogs, but and I'm like, well, I never heard of that, and there's not any presence online. And I call them. It turns out, they're one of the largest lines in the country, and I'm like, you don't have a web page? It's like I've never needed one. I'm like,
No.
oh, I get it now. Now I get it. Yeah, you don't need to because everyone knows who you are in this world, and you can only have so many puppies a year, and it's
Yeah.
not like you're producing a widget in a factory and you can
No.
crank up production and make a bunch more. That'd be irresponsible and in some places illegal as a pup, if you're having puppies. So
And
makes a lot of sense.
also what happens with that? It was interesting. I took a dog to Russia in about 2007, I think. Um, and it's a really interesting trip. But I won't go on about that. But I was talking to the guy. We were drinking vodka, and I've never been a big vodka drinker. It's like in my head, vodka is the sort of stuff you. Oh God,
Yeah,
as you're drinking as a student or something. It's pretty cheap, it's pretty rank, and it's just what you use to get drunk, kind of thing.
right, sure.
Or or back in our day, get a girl drunk. You're not allowed to do that anymore. And I'm sitting there drinking vodka. I'm like, this stuff's amazing. Like, it tastes so
Mm,
nice. It's so smooth. It's delicious. And anyway, we got into a conversation of vodka, and he said, what happens is someone will come up with like a kind of niche, small brand vodka. Okay. And it'll be amazing.
right.
And people will find it and then they'll start buying it. And he said, the moment I find a vodka I like, I buy as much as I can. And he opened the doors to his shed, and there was like 6 pallets of vodka, like
Jeez.
stacked up, like forklift, like proper pallets of vodka. And I was
Okay.
like, wow, okay. Because what happens is, he says, people start buying it, and they turn the tap on more. They probably add in some water and make it all grow quicker, and without keeping the kind of the standard. And then that vodka business just ends up as another crap vodka business. And then you have to go and find another one. And I see this with not so much in the UK, but I've seen this in America with dogs.
Yeah.
There's a few kennels, more specifically, I'm thinking about Labradors,
Yes.
And I'm sure you and some of your breeders, some of your listeners will know
Yeah.
some of them. They were started with good intentions, and they grew and grew, and they got too big, and the control is gone, and it's now just, oh yeah, we just produce Labradors. And then someone who
Right.
works for them go, wow, they make a load of money doing this, and they've gone off, and they're like, well, we're going to do it better. And they start producing Labradors, and then they produce more and more, and then they're just producing loads of Labradors, and then you've got a handful of these fairly big establishments just producing loads of Labradors, and none of them are actually any good anymore because they
Right.
kind of lost their mojo for it, and they're just doing it for they're just doing
Yep.
it. The American capitalist took over, and boom, let's make some bucks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get that, you've lost that personal
Yeah.
calling them up, getting that person on the phone. And I still now, we get like millions of views on our YouTube channel on a monthly basis, and people ring up and they're like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to answer the phone." They're expecting
Yeah.
some like,
Like,
"Hi, this is Janine. I'm in the office of Mordor Gun Dogs, and
right.
oh, if you want to speak to Charlie, you've got to book that 8 months in advance." I'm like, "No, it's still me." Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a load of guys and girls helping us both in admin and looking after the dogs. We've got a 5th-year vet student who's working for us for the whole of the summer, looking after the puppies. She's amazing. Hopefully, she's going to come and work in my vet hospital when we finish it next year.
Very cool.
But yeah, it's still me on the phone because what happens is someone rings up with a question and they're like, "Oh yeah, you better speak to Charlie," because essentially it's still all in what we're breeding and what we're doing, and the ethos also comes from me. And sadly, we just lost one of our great trainers today. He moved to Germany. Love preceded his job, and he moved to Germany. And he's been a great guy and a big impact on our business. But our business is still going today. It'll still be going tomorrow, and it'll still be going next year. He had an impact at the time, but he's moved on, and we've got a great relationship with him still. And I hope he'll see us again. And I've said to him, come back and work for me when Germany bores you or whatever, or the Germans bore you. But the whole point is essentially what I have is whether I'm a 1-man band or I'm a 15-man band, the business we have is about me. Because
what's that called? The founder effect? Is that what that's called? When a founder of a startup or a company finally leaves the company, even if it becomes extremely successful, like it's going to take a hit. Like you can't get back to that because it was the founder's vision that drove that company.
Yeah. And the motivation and the 100 and something hours a week they put into doing it. And that's just what it is. And so we're trying to create some other businesses as part of what we've got that aren't me. We're building a vet hospital. We're building a luxury kind of dog hotel. We're doing a few other things which won't be centered about me. So they'll be able to just tick over and work away nicely without me in them, sort of thing. So that I can carry on doing this stuff, because this is the stuff I love.
Right. That's awesome. That's great. So you've been to, was it 37 American states, going on 38?
No, I think it's 35 states.
35 states. Okay, yeah, it was country series. Okay. So what's maybe something that was surprising about American gun dog culture that you're like, why do you do it that way? Have there been any things that have jumped out to you?
Yeah. And I talked about it with someone else recently. It's the push, let them chase, let them go. My dog's 14 weeks old and it's picking wounded birds.
Yeah.
Versus ours, which is like they're not seeing a bird, let alone a wounded one.
Right.
They're so far away from a bird. The 14-week-old puppies I've got out in the pen, they're just puppies. They're babies. They're playing. They're running around. They follow me around. They sit for their food. They pick up a ball and carry it around. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's this kind of like push. And then it's like, right, I've got this wild hunting machine. Now, how do I control it?
Yeah. Yes. And like you said at the very beginning of our conversation, is they have that in them, but we got to teach them how to, live in our world and listen to us.
The self-control and the discipline is the hard bit. And whereas the UK in general is more of a kind of slow, steady, build them up as you pass a level, push them to the next level. The moment it's like they're wobbling, they're about to get it wrong, just step back. work a bit more on the level below, and then build them up to it again. And it's just a different mentality. It's just a different mentality, and it confuses me. And it confuses me because I've not yet found somebody who can tell me why it's as good or better than our method. It's more just this is what we do. Oh, we've always done that. Well, we invented these bloody dogs. So like, I'm going to take my British, I'm going to stand on my little British box and say, well, we invented these dogs. So, like, it's like you guys do business and capitalism better than us. That's not the British way. The British way is kind of aristocratic, rich people and a load of people working for them. The American way is build businesses and create growth, and everyone does well. And you do it much better than us. I mean, I read something the other day in terms of business. I read something the other day that if you can make $1 million in the UK, if that's in a year, that same business in America would be making $10 million.
Jeez. Wow.
Because businesses, you guys are just so much more wired that way, so much more geared up that way, and so much more like you thrive in that environment. And it's just that's your skill set. And I'm lucky enough to have spent a lot of time with some successful Americans and learned a lot from them, and that's probably helped me.
So,
whereas and I think sort of some of the other stuff, we do better, and I think dogs is one of them.
So a little off topic, but I have teenagers. I believe you have kids. I wonder if that's true in parenting between the two countries as well, because over here, seeing my kids in high school, it's just like, get them into college early, college classes here, skip a grade if you can, do this, get up here. And in the end, it's like, yeah, it's great. But the end, it's like, okay, so you're 20 instead of 22 with your bachelor's degree. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, I think you froze, Charlie. We're doing so well.
My network's jumping around.
That's okay. Did you hear what I said?
It was just cutting in and out a little bit, but it was about kids. You started off on kids and college.
Yeah, I'm just saying that in the US here, I have high schoolers right now, and they're pushed so much to get college classes early and start college early and all these things and skip grades if they can. And it's like, okay, in the end, they're just graduating with their degree at 20 instead of 22 years old. Like, what do we really do? What do they miss out on? Like, is there other developmental things they're missing? The things I've been thinking about as a parent. And it seems like, I wonder if in the UK, if that's less so, if that same culture that you're talking about comes through.
I think, I think basically with a lot of things, we kind of, we follow you guys. We're a few years behind you. Whether that's political movements or economies or whatever. If you guys crash, we crash a little bit later. When you guys are doing well, we kind of slightly ride in your tailcoats. And I would say you go to London and there's a lot more comparisons to kind of that pushy New York type mentality.
Right.
Than when you're in like Rednecksville up here, where we're all a bit more like, oh, our kids are happy and they're climbing trees and they're, driving trucks when they're 10 years old and they're having a good time. And people come up here to see about getting a dog from London. And you look at the kids, just their kids, their eyes are out on stalks as they see my kids kind of appearing in the yard on a like a 50cc motorbike and then getting off the motorbike and getting on the forklift and going and the telehandler and going loading some firewood and then going and playing with some puppies. And you're kind of like, they're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, but you guys have all got like grade 8 piano. And you're speaking 3 languages. My kids are picking their nose and having a good time. And I think there's definitely a sort of, my dog at this age, it's doing this. My dog's this age, it's doing this. I'm like, I don't really care. Yeah. And I've always gone by if your dog is better this week than it was last week, better this month than it was last month, you are heading in the right direction.
Yes.
And don't worry about timing. So you've got a puppy, your friend got a puppy out the same litter, and he says, oh yeah, so my dog, I've done this and that with it, and I'm going out and I'm getting it to do this and that. Yeah, well done you. That's great. I'm nowhere near that, but I don't really care because my dog's going at the pace it wants to go, not at the pace you want your dog to go.
Right. Right. No, that's great. And I believe, I mean, we're talking on a podcast and I found you on YouTube, but like social media and the internet kind of supercharges that as well because there's so much more to compare to. There's so much more to get on and brag about and post about with your dogs. Look what it's doing. And then you go, oh no, mine's behind. I think it's still a net positive in terms of information sharing, but that's a downfall that people fall into. And I'm sure I have at times before too, where I'm like, oh no, your dog's doing that at 9 months old. Mine's chasing its tail down here.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's interesting enough. I'd say that's the most consistent comment, positive comment I get about our YouTube, and that is that we show the warts.
Yeah, it's great.
There's plenty of footage of me chasing across a field after a wild little cocker spaniel or something, going no, as they're
Yeah,
sort of doing the wrong thing, and
right.
I'm trying to get them to do one thing and they do the wrong thing, and it's like that's what it is. Whereas too many of these sort of gurus kind of it's like a property guru or a make money in the stock market. Look how much money I've made. It's like, well, you made a load of money selling a course, not actually in the stock market. You show us your trades, show us what you've done, everything you've done, show us all the things you've lost on, but you've still ended up well, and we'll believe you. But
Right.
it's just sell kind of thing. Whereas I'm not actually the YouTube is not actually to sell; it's to help people. It just happens to becoming a bit of a selling tool as well because I guess I built people's trust.
That's probably it, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And we had a good level of. I think the point is I started it as well, having had 20. I've got 20 years of trust and experience behind me before I even started it. It wasn't like, oh, I've trained dogs for 6 months. I'm going to start a YouTube channel to sell my
Right.
product. I'm like, I've been doing this. I've been there. I've done it. There's a guy in America, a sort of finance kind of guru called Dave Ramsey. Do you know what I mean by
Yeah.
Dave
Oh, yeah. I know
Ramsey?
you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like, I'm not a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever, and I'm definitely not Dave Ramsey, but there's that kind of like, he does it. Like people
Right.
know he's a guy who's done it, and he gives people hell, and he's like,
Yeah.
you're a dumbass.
Right.
And that's kind of that's kind of my view. It's like, it is what it is. Like your dog's stupid. Just it's going to take longer. Or you've made a mistake with all this stuff, so you've set yourself back or whatever. Like just be honest with what you're doing. Sorry, I've just lost you for a second.
Oh, can you hear me?
I don't know on earth how, but I will find it back again. If you just give me a second. There we
No
go.
worries.
Sorry, just something happened. I think my son is playing with my phone and it's kind of interlinked with this.
Yeah. I've had that happen.
Damn children, huh? Who'd have them?
Kids.
They're like puppies.
Yeah.
Drive you around the twist and break everything. So yeah, it's just that sort of blunt, raw honesty of just don't kid yourself. Like you need to go back. You're trying to be here and you're still here, and you need to just go back and do it again. Oh, but I've put all this time in. Well, I think Dave Ramsey guy calls it the stupid tax.
Right.
That's your stupid tax. You've lost all that time because you made a bad decision. Just go back, start it again, and it'll all come right. But it's going to take you time. And again, the same principle of I want my dog to do all this now. The tortoise, with my view, is the tortoise beats the hare. Just steady. And the amount of people who we've seen, they get a puppy from us, and at 6 months old, their puppy is sitting and healing and retrieving and doing whatever. And then they see what they come up for a lesson, and they're like, oh, can I see one of its siblings? And as you say, it's siblings in the corner chasing its tail.
Right.
And you see them kind of patting themselves on the back going, oh, my dog's better than Charlie's. And then in 6 months later again, their dog has kind of peaked, nosedive, just becoming a bit of a little shit because they're letting it get away too much. Dog's got too smart, and mine are just sort of mine are off and awesome. And suddenly they're like, I don't understand. Like 6 months ago, your dog wasn't doing anything, and now your dog is out in the field doing all this stuff brilliantly, and yet mine isn't doing anything more than it was doing 6 months ago. Like what did I do wrong, kind of thing. You tried to push it, and then you thought you were there, you thought you were done, you thought the box was ticked, and then you weren't, and the dog starts going downhill. Whereas we're like, you're always working.
It's also a shiny new object too, though. Like for folks like me, and just buy a puppy. I want to go hunting and have a house dog, and have a buddy. Uh, when they're a puppy, they get all the attention, all the training, and
Oh
then
yeah,
over time, you're just like, oh yeah, I gotta let the dog outside. Um, and then that
yeah.
starts falling off too. I've been
Yeah,
guilty
yeah,
of
I think you're
that.
absolutely right. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. It's a bit like I remember someone saying to me the first time you eat a takeout, like a pizza or fish and chips or something in your new car, that's it.
yeah,
Like
it's
you get
over.
your new car and it's no, you can't eat in the car. No, don't put that down. Or are your
Yep.
clothes clean? And then you have a takeout and like a bit of something gets spilt on the floor and you're like
Well,
and then
well, yep.
you kind of like that's it. And the car smells of deep fried food and then you never really look after it quite to the same degree again.
Yeah, I see you've been in my F-150. Got it. Okay.
No, we just have the same. I have a VW, a Volkswagen pickup. I don't think they do them in the States, but a sort of
Mhm.
equivalent, a double cab,
Yeah.
pickup. And yeah, it's like the dogs used to never get in the cab.
Yes.
We're 150,000 miles down the tube now. Dogs are
Yeah.
on the back seat. Like there was never a dent in the bumper. Now there's like various members of my staff have like reversed into the drawbar of the trailer and misjudged it and put a dent in
Oh
it.
yeah.
And now I'm like, it's just one of those things. The truck's done 150,000 miles. I love the thing, but I'm not going to get in a pickle about a dent in the bumper because the
Yep.
novelty's worn off. So yeah, I get it, and I get like that with my dogs when they get a bit older.
Sure.
If I've got a 7-year-old dog and they don't stop on the whistle as perfect, then I'm going to be like, well, it's because I haven't practiced enough. Whereas if I got a 2-year-old dog and I'm like, damn it, why isn't that dog listening to me? It should be on the button. It should be on the button. But the
Right.
7-year-old, I'm like, they're okay.
Yeah.
And they're working away and I blow
Yeah.
the whistle and they're like, no, Dad, I'm just going to go in here first. And they're like, and of course they go in, they flush a bird, I shoot it, I send them for it, they pick it. I'm like, if I hadn't let them do that, I wouldn't have got that bird. But
Yeah.
a young dog, I'd be like, no, I damn well told you to turn. You've got to turn. I don't care
Right.
if there's a bird in there. I told you to turn.
Right.
And that's more important to me with a young dog because I want to make sure I've got that control. And then I let them earn that. Once they've earned my trust, I let them have a little freedom.
Love it. Well, Charlie, I've kept you for too long, and I really appreciate you coming on our show and chatting about this. Just love the conversation. Thanks so much for coming on.
No problem. Good to chat.
Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.